welcome back to my channel. My name is Escarla, and today I am sharing my first half of Clue 4 of the Geogradient Mystery Knit Along Shawl from Stephen West. And I had to split this up into two because there was so much footage. It was like around 40-50 minutes with all the footage that I got, so it didn't make sense to put that all in one video. So this week you're gonna get part 1, and then next Thursday you'll get part 2. I'll be back next week with the second half, and yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Bye. I got this new mic. Do you guys like the audio better? It's like the end of the day. It's officially like 9 o'clock at night, and I am going to start Clue 4. My Clue 3, I finished this past weekend, and here she is. I hope you can see that well. As you can see, it's like already full wingspan for me, and I love it so much. There's something about like just decreasing that makes you feel good, you know? As you start decreasing, you're obviously knitting less per row, and you just feel like you're knitting so quickly, but it's just like an illusion. I have to go through my stash and find some scrap yarn because Clue 4 involves something called the dip stitch, which I believe is something new for Stephen. I don't think he's worked with that stitch pattern before, but he did mention that it's his favorite part of the shawl, so I'm really looking forward to working on that because it's a new technique, and it seems like the dip stitch involves a lot of slipped stitches and then maybe dipping down to pick up to make a shape. I don't know. We're gonna find out. I did watch the first video already, but I was watching it while I was working on something else and I was just not fully paying attention, so I do have to rewatch that. But he did recommend knitting a swatch before working on Clue 4 because you don't want to like start on this giant clue and then kind of mess up at the start because you didn't practice the stitch. So I'm gonna be a good girl and knit a swatch. Essentially what we'll be doing is picking up stitches. It's going to be a lot of stitches picking up stitches from this corner all the way to this corner, so all along the bottom. I'm definitely a little bit nervous about that. I feel like this Clue 4 might take the longest to knit. We're going to rewatch the video, but for now let's go through my stash and find some appropriate yarns that I can use for my swatch because I don't want to use the yarn that I have left for the project on a swatch, since we already wasted quite a bit of that on Clue 1. So yes, let's go and find some yarn. It kind of feels like shopping a little bit. Shopping my own stash for scraps.
This is my favorite technique that we're doing this week, and it's a dip stitch technique. So this is what we're going to be doing. So we're going to cast on just a couple stitches in a new color using a technique called dip 5. So try it out on the swatch, watch the video, skip ahead to this video to row 7. This is the size of the shawl. So follow the pattern.
So it is the next day, and here is our finished swatch for what we will be doing for Clue 4. I am absolutely in love with this stitch. It's called the dip stitch, and it is a new technique for me, and it's just really fun. I'll give you guys a close-up so you can see better what I'm saying. But essentially what you're doing is dipping down into your work, going in as if to knit, and then pulling up a really long loop. So you work on the same column, but you go down a few rows into your work. You pick up as if to knit, and then you create this long stitch essentially. And then as you go up from your dip, you are creating these shorter stitches that then create this triangle effect. And it's just so beautiful. It's kind of tripping me out a little bit because it looks like crochet. Yeah, I've just never seen knitting look like this. And I'm very excited to knit on the actual shawl itself because those colors are gonna look so beautiful, I think. But we are now ready to pick up stitches from the shawl and start on this. I think I'm going to use that mohair that I used for clue 2, and I think I'm going to introduce it into this last clue to just tie it into the shawl. But also I have a lot of that mohair left and I just think it'll look prettier. I'm curious what the stitch is going to look like with the mohair. I think it's going to look really fun and like a fluffy little cloud. So yeah, I think we're gonna do that. Unfortunately, the orange yarn, I forget the name of the actual colorway, but that orange yarn is the one that I have the least of because it's the one that I kind of used the most. We're gonna see how much I can get out of that orange. Hopefully I can get at least like 2 rows with it. So I'm gonna take the extra time, weigh all my yarn out, make sure we got our numbers, and then check in on how much I have after knitting around, and then I'll get like an estimate of how much yarn I'm gonna have left. What else do we have to catch up on? To cast off the shawl, you're gonna be doing like an I-cord bind off, and I think he mentioned that you need like 20 or 40 grams of yarn to do the bind off. I think 20 grams is what he said. But I am thinking of actually using like a different color for my bind off, like for fun, but we'll see how I feel about that later on. I'm not looking forward to setting this up to knit on because it's gonna be so many fucking stitches to pick up, but I think it's gonna be like very much worth it at the end. So let's just do it. I'll stop complaining. We have 31 grams left of the orange, 33 grams left of the gray. This green color has 34 grams. And then the hostess with the mostest is the darker green, kind of olive green, that has 40 grams left. And let's not forget that these all have the yarn labels on them. So it's probably just a tiny bit less than that. Now that we've noted how much yarn we have left, let's get to work.
Of your PDF, and you can cast on 18 stitches of the dip stitch. Are you ready? So this is what we're going to be doing. So we're going to cast on just a few stitches, instructions, and then wrote the video. It's really fun. It's the opportunity to customize the size of your shawl. So follow the pattern as written and knit the recommended number of stripes to get a border and
All right, I got my yarn bowl and we're ready to start picking up. I decided to start, I don't even remember at this point which was my color A. It doesn't really matter because these colors just work together and I've already seen what we're going to be making. So I think what I'm going to do is, because I bound off with the orange, I would like to use a different color to pick up the stitches. So we're gonna go with this dark green color first because what I have planned to do is to do it in this order, right? So we'll start with the olive, dark green, then the orange, then we'll do the gray, and then the regular green color. And then the I-cord bind off. I'm not sure which color I would want to do it with, but I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Nothing really matters. I did look at my stash to see if I had a good kind of contrasting color pop I could use for a bind off, but I didn't see anything that worked well with this. So yeah, we'll figure that out when we get there. But for now, we're gonna pick up stitches with the dark olive color, and that's probably gonna take me the rest of the night. So let's see how much I can get done tonight. Picked up all my stitches. Now I need to count and make sure there's 491. Guys, it is Friday morning. It is I guess this would be my Saturday, but also tomorrow is also my Saturday, and then Sunday is my Sunday. I have 3 days off, and I'm really tired. It's like 11:30. I slept in really late, and I really needed it, so no regrets. But now we have started the long road to finish this shawl. It might not be a long road, but I'm assuming since we picked up 491 stitches that just knitting one round is going to take a while. So I picked up all my stitches last night, as you guys saw, and now I am doing the purling row, which is the row right after the pickup. But yeah, it's Friday, and prepare for a day of knitting and existing. So we have knit 6 rows. It does take a while to get across a row because we're increasing, and currently I'm at 490 something stitches, 499 stitches. So that's a lot of stitches to be knitting for one row. But because we're essentially just like stockinette stitching, it's pretty quick. So I'm coming up to my first dip 5 stitch. So I figured I would get you guys up close and personal so you can see what it's like to knit the stitch. We're going to dip down to the left of the 5th stitch, and we're going to go down 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in here. Gonna go in. We're gonna grab and pull, and then you're gonna knit. Okay. Now I'm going into the 4th stitch down. So brilliant. Pull, and then knit. And I think for the extended stitch that you see, you kind of want it to be the width of what 3 stitches are like, for example, on the needles. Now we're down to 2. And 1. Okay. So that is the dip stitch. Very cool.
It just shows like that. So that's actually very fine. It's not terribly far from
27 grams.
Because I'm gonna have so much time till the morning. It's going to be like.
I feel like I can't really vlog with this lens because it's what is it? 50. Yeah, it's a 50 millimeter. Okay, hold on a second. It took 13 grams of the olive to knit the first 5 rows of stockinette. So that did eat up quite a bit of yarn. So we will have to be mindful of how much yarn we have left so we don't get stuck in a predicament. It is like midnight and I did my best to knit as much as I could today, but I also made sure to take it easy for myself because it's been a tough week. But this is how much I got done. Oh shit. Let me not drop all these stitches. Okay. So I got up to the first dip 5 stitch and I did that throughout the entire row, and oh my god, that took a long time to do. Apparently I currently have 990 stitches on my needles, which I think is probably a record breaker for me. Anyway, so it's midnight. I think all hope for me potentially finishing this shawl this week is gone after working on the few rows that I worked on today, but I will continue to document the process as we go. Yeah, I'll continue to film the process and we will see how long it takes me to finish Clue 4. But as of today, one day in, we've got basically up to here. Okay. Good night, guys.